Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going over the dreaded fishmouth. A fishmouth happens when you are forging a flat bar of steel, like this one, right? If you try to push this end straight down to make this into a point, say for a knife, you're going to fold the edges over like that. You're going to end up with a crease that looks like the mouth of a fish. The problem is, the inside of this crease is a stress point, and it's going to crack your blade all the way through. You either have to cut that off, or you start with a piece like this, and you cut it at a 45-degree angle to start that way. Well, that's a waste of metal. It's also kind of cheating a little bit. If you want to forge a blade completely and avoid a fish mouth, this is how you do it. The way you do it, I have to hold it in front of my hand because it's kind of dark in here, is instead of forging down at a 45-degree angle, you could do that. That's what most people try to do. And then what happens is you end up pushing this nub out here that starts folding over from the bottom too. So then you end up with a fish mouth down there. What you need to do is start forging it at a 45-degree angle a little bit and then forge more in this way. Push this back, then down a little bit at a 45, and then push this back in this direction again. So we're going to throw this in the forge, heat it up, and I'll show you how this works. Alright, here we go. Here's my piece of steel. I'm going to start coming in a little bit greater than a 45-degree angle. I want to work this way more than I do this way. Your edges start blowing out a little bit. Flatten down. Come back in. Flatten it to hold the thing up. First heat. Hopefully you can see where I'm at there. So I've got a flat going on that's this way. Not so much a 45, more like 60, 65, 70 degrees, somewhere in here, right? You can, if you look real close, you might be able to see just a little bit of a curve starting there. If I were to forge in a 45-degree angle, this point here is going to pull out and then fold over into a fish mouth. This is what we want to avoid. I can flatten this down a little bit more, but this needs to come back in. So occasionally, you're going to have to get your hand in here, get behind this piece of steel, and hit it this way to stop this from happening. So we'll take another heat, and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, it took a little bit longer of a heat. What I mean by long heat is out here on the bar. Didn't take a very long one last time because it's first thing in the morning. I'm not very awake. I haven't really had much coffee yet. So I'm forging down a little bit to give myself more room. See how I have this going on now? Give myself more room to bring it back. And all I'm really doing is holding this with a glove in my left hand. Holding this with a glove in my left hand if you didn't hear that part. And forging back into itself a bit. So now I've got a bit more of a pronounced slope. You can see how this part has pushed back some, right? That's going to prevent me from fish mouthing over. So next heat, I've got a good slope going on here, so I'm going to shove this back in a little bit more, and this should establish just enough to where I can really drive it down and get more of a slope shape. So you can see it thickening up a bit from the forging this way. It's important to go back and check it back once in a while, make sure it's nice and flat, maintain an even thickness while you do this. So as you're going, it's much easier to correct whatever flaws you're introducing in the piece of metal as you go, as opposed to letting them compound themselves over time, over multiple heats, and then causing yourself a major problem that you can't fix later on. Okay, the one thing that I need to mention, I'm going to freeze it right here at this point and show you this picture. You see where I have the kind of 45 degree at the top, and then there's the round hump before it straightens out and comes down. If I were to forge into that bar at just at a straight 45-degree angle right from there, trying to establish a point, the bottom of that round hump, closest to the flat part, is going to fold over and fish mouth on me. That's the dangerous part. Even when you already have the beginnings of a nice point established, you can still fish mouth it. This is why we come in at such a much more of a straight angle from the front and pound that section back in. Alright, here we go, forging in. Of course, as you can see, that's hot. It's moving much quicker. You also got to be careful not to forge these little lips on the bottom. They can be taken out pretty quick just by doing this. Check back your excessive fatness. Come down this way a little bit more. Check see I got a little lip going on down there. But by forging this way, I can take that back out and make it nice and smooth down here again. Alright. There we go. What was that, 3 heats? So you can see I've got a nice slope established. I don't have a fish mouth going on here. From this point, I can very safely forge from here down into whatever tip profile I want before I start my blade. That's all it takes, and this works the same way whether you're doing flat bar stock. If you start from round stock and I'm going to forge a blade into it, you have to turn it into flat anyway. So you're going to end up with a flat edge that you have to deal with to not get a fish mouth. Same thing applies. If you're going to do railroad spikes, same thing. You're going to smush it down. You're going to end up with a flat point, or flat end that you're going to have to work into a point. So remember, start with a little bit of 45, but you need to work in this way more than you do down to the 45 to stop this from folding over. There you have it. Well, there it is, guys. Just a quick short video on how to avoid one of the biggest problems in bladesmithing. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please hit the like button. Consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Check out the link to my Patreon page, but more importantly, if you could check out my web store, which there will be a link below, and you can buy some actual handmade items from me. And more than anything else, that directly contributes to me being able to continue doing videos and traveling and working and teaching as I do. Thanks for joining me, guys. Have a great day.